I'm Em,
And I'm Lex.
and we're thrilled to welcome you to the Ready, Set, Coach podcast.
Now, we're not just your hosts. We're also mamas, entrepreneurs, coaches, friends, and co-founders of the Ready, Set, Coach community.
What began as a pandemic side hustle has blossomed into a vibrant online community crafted by coaches for coaches.
So when we're not immersed in our coaching community on Circle, we're busy managing our other businesses, navigating the ups and downs of life, and of course, recording this podcast.
This is where we dive deep into epic conversations about life, business, coaching,
and everything in between.
So are you ready, Lex?
I'm set, Em.
Let's coach.
Hi, Lex.
Hi, Em.
And hi, Carolyn.
Whoop, whoop.
Ladies. We always kick things off with the hi, hi, Lex. So now we've got a special guest. Guys,
Menage a trois.
Yeah, I was gonna make inappropriate comments, but I'm glad Lexi's
I went there. My fever brain went there.
We can blame a lot of things on fever, but the reality is it exists. Guys, we have first off, hello, season 2. We're here. When did we start our podcast, Lexi? Last year?
Stop asking me hard questions.
Okay. We started a podcast, guys, and I guess now we're at like 1,000 episodes, and here we are on season 2, and we are so excited. And guys, this is very special. I have known this guest for how many years? 24 years of my life.
Oh my Lord.
I know, that was hard to do math. I did actually fun journaling thing I recognized today. We've been out of high school for 18 years. I was like, oh my God, that's insane.
Wow. That's why. And I'm generally not adept at math at all. So I appreciate you crunching the numbers on our behalf, but that's not nothing.
Carolyn and I were in like the slower math group. There was 3 different tiers of math, and higher English, slower math. And so you know where our brain lies in that part. But I am so excited to have the fabulous, amazing, wonderful, very special human being, Carolyn Stine, on today's episode of the Ready, Set, Coach podcast.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to be here. Hello from Mexico City. Hi to you amazing ladies. It is like a freaking honor and a pleasure for me to be here.
And I feel like the third wheel today a little bit because you guys, these are like childhood BFFs. So I'll like interject here and there like, hey, I'm here. But I do want to say that you guys should share a little bit more of your inception story I will also rein you guys in a little bit because we have 30 minutes, but I do want to hear too your guys' transition into coaching because I know it's interconnected.
I'll start by, Lex, you could have sat with us in high school. We were fun and cool. And we sat in the library or in the hallway adjacent to the library. Like I think this was both of us, Kara. We were just so intimidated to sit in like the chaos that was the lunchroom.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Where like all the cool people were, and there was like all of the tables with the different groups, and we were like, we're just gonna do our own thing. And it was glorious.
We were so naive too. Like people supposedly were doing cocaine within the backpacks, and we were like innocent elves sitting in the library eating our lunches.
Oh my Lord. Just
don't know if I believe you guys were not like the social butterflies of high school.
Not at all. Not me, at least. You were definitely more social than me, but no.
I rode crew in high school. So crew was like a club sport. So it was its own little cult kind of within. And then Carolyn was this, oh my God, this amazing dancer. So Carolyn, do you want to tell the origin story about us a little bit more?
Okay, so I grew up in Connecticut in like this tiny town where we met, and Em moved when we were in middle school, moved to our town from Florida. I want to say we were around 12 years old. And so we met in like our gloriously awkward heyday of our lives, and we're drawn to each other like moths to a flame.
And I also want to say, she's like a beautiful gazelle who was leading these dance. Everyone did dance in our town. It was a very weird town in that there was this
just kidding.
It was culty. Like it was actually, it was this guy named Walter Schock who was like, I mean, Carolyn, you know more, but I think he was like an thought he was Broadway guy, kind of curmudgeon, could have been 50, could have been 90. I'm unsure still to this day what his age range was. And so we all did we all did Walter Shock and we all did dance. And it was like these recycled dances, with lightsabers sometimes. And fun fact about me is, I might come off graceful, guys. I just seem graceful, but I'm not. I'm very clumsy. So I was in the back row, and I remember Carolyn literally would always be like the star student who would be gliding across, like she would be leading something, and then I would be, we had a lightsaber routine where we had to turn the lights on and off. Like mine was on when it was supposed to be off. Anywho, that's
so how did we get from awkward dance classes to now you both are of your own accord very successful entrepreneurs and coaches? So I'm like fast forwarding decades here. You guys already dated yourself. I didn't. Not my bad. Your bad. How did we get to where we're at today?
Carolyn, I'll let you take it.
Okay, see, I'm gonna give you the short story on that. My background was we both moved to New York City after we graduated from college. We lived together for many years. I worked in the fashion industry for almost 10 years doing like e-commerce, digital marketing, copywriting, like everything, every which way. And I ended up at it was the very beginning of 2018. Like as the years went by, just kind of like being in like the rat race of New York City and like the doing energy and the like, I'm an independent woman energy. I was just like, something doesn't feel right. Something doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel good. This doesn't feel good. What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? And it was just like manifesting in every single area of my life where it was like, this isn't it. This isn't it. This isn't it. And I finally got to the point where I was like, so we're going to burn this entire thing to the ground. And I broke up with my long-term partner. I quit my like corporate job where I was making like a fuck ton of money. I hope swearing is okay. And like prestigious company and all of the things. And I moved out of my Chelsea apartment. I was living on a friend's couch for a few months. And I was like, so if nobody's going to come save me from my life. It is like entirely my responsibility if I want to feel better. And if I want to like feel like I'm showing up to my life with like a level of like purpose and happiness, XYZ, because I don't feel that now. And it's like about time I figured that out. That was when I was 30. And since then, long story, again, very, very short, I've been on kind of my own journey of what it feels like to come home to myself. And through that, my entrepreneurial journey kind of organically came about. And I originally in 2018 founded a digital content consulting company where I was working with brands to define, like their brand voice, their brand strategy, their content strategy, their messaging, XYZ. And it was really in 2020, like amidst the chaos of the world that was 2020, that and like amidst a lot of beautiful communities of coaches and like really coming into contact with that world for the first time, that I was like, oh, like I feel such a desire not to be working behind the scenes for these big brands, but I want to be helping these women in my world, because like I love messaging, I love copywriting, I love storytelling, like all of these things that I was like, this is the easiest and funnest part of business. But I kept continually hearing from women in my world, and who I came into contact with it was truly the bane of their existence. It was something they were either spending a disproportionate like amount of time and energy on in their business, trying to speak to their offers, trying to sell their offers, trying to create content, and it wasn't working to the level they wanted it to, or they were being completely avoidant with this area of their business. And I kind of just had the light bulb moment of like, oh, these are the people I want to help. And the rest is kind of history.
And I want to also plug in from like the knowing side of you. I know being a coach wasn't always your vision. Like it wasn't even on your radar for a very long time. Like, you've been thinking about the first introduction of coaches. I feel like in 2018, 2019, we didn't know as many coaches as now. Everyone and their mom, including mine, is a coach. And so, which is a fun joke, but it is a reality. So thinking about like, what were the steps that you took to kind of honor the coach within you?
Well, for me, it was like the first step was like just identifying like the authentic desire, which even a few years prior, I don't even think I had like the degree of like closeness and connection to myself and my inner knowing to even have like noticed desire when it came forth, right? So like being able to be really connected to myself, to my intuition, to my desires was probably the work that underlaid being able to even like receive that message. And I was like, it just like came in hot. It came in like a wrecking ball. And I was like, coach, like, that's it. It was super clear. And then I was like, I've never coached. I've never been coached before. Like, I need to see what this is all about. And so in 2020, I signed up for 3 separate coaching containers. I was in a co-ed mastermind. I had my first one-on-one coach, and I put myself in a group program. And I was like, okay, if I'm going to do this, like, I'm going to go all in, and I'm not just going to try to like piece it together. I'm not going to guess. I'm not going to leave something as important as my desire up to chance or like throwing spaghetti at the wall. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to like strategically take on debt in my business. I'm going to invest in myself. Like, I'm going to make moves. And by the end of the year, I was like, okay, we're doing this. And at the very end of 2020, I launched my first coaching program, my, like one-on-one coaching. And I started signing clients in January 2021. And like the rest is history.
I have a kind of follow-up question to that. Hearing that you went so full force in and you joined different types of coaching containers for that stage, do you have any kind of takeaways or lessons learned for if someone's listening and they are looking to invest in their first coaching container? Do you have a route you would suggest or things they can think through that now looking back, you wish you had known?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually don't think there's one route or one pathway into making this work. I think that the most important thing you can do as an entrepreneur, especially as a new entrepreneur, is start to cultivate like a level of deep discernment within yourself. And like, again, feeling desire, trusting that pathway, and like making moves, even if it may feel illogical, even if people in your world might be like, I don't know if that's the great option, but like, can you actually really trust yourself to move? I think that and both knowing that like no matter what happens, you've got you and you're going to be okay, are probably, I would say, the 2 most important skill sets you can really start, like muscle you can start to work as a business owner, which is really about like connection to self and creating safety internally. For me, like my ethos going into it, which hopefully this is helpful, is, I was like, I can't win if I don't get in the game. Like, there's only so much I can do from the sidelines here. And for me, that meant like twofold. One, investing and like getting myself in these spaces so I could feel, oh, I like this. This doesn't work for me. Like starting to like kind of feel like what the landscape was. And then also after that, putting my offer out there immediately, not like sitting on it and trying to tweak and perfect and hone it XYZ, but like getting in the game and being like, the lessons to be learned aren't from the bench. And like, I might put this out there and get crickets for 3 months. I might put this out there and nobody ever signs up, and then I have to launch something else. But either way, I'm going to be receiving valuable information and kind of like adapt and flex and grow.
And I think one of the things that you did really beautifully is to your point, like you moved fast, and it wasn't like you had the most beautiful, perfect website. And we know, right? Like so many people, and we see this even with our clients, that they get so hung up on like the perfection of what it has to, the perception and the perfection. Like it has to be perfect before I put it out, where Lexi and I are a lot more of the like, let's build the plane as we're flying it and hope like there's no mountain that comes in our way, And so you did a great job of utilizing the tools that you had beyond like a website. I think social media, you really were able to shine and put your personality out there. So do you have any advice for people who, again, have this offer and they want to message it, but they feel like they can't because they don't have a website?
Oh, yes. I see that all of the time as well, especially with newer entrepreneurs. It's like these specific things that I see the hangups on. And I would say alongside website, like having like a professional website, right? Having a professional website, having like branding, like having a logo, having colors, having a bigger, being seen by more people, XYZ. Like these are things, especially at the very beginning of your business, that have, I would say, little to no impact on you being able to actually build a business that converts and is profitable, something that you can grow and sustain. I think that actually those are things that you need much later than people would often be told. And I think it's actually like not a productive use of a lot of people's not only time, energy, but like precious funds at the beginning of a business as well. Because like I get it. And I've also been there where you're like, maybe not everybody had this experience, but I was like, I don't have access to a lot of money here. I'm leaning on my savings. I'm going into debt, XYZ. But I was like, I know this is right. So we move. From a messaging perspective, I would say that the coaching space overall is nowhere near saturated, right? Like, I think we're only going to see it very much continue to grow and expand over the next few years. Like we are still in at the ground level. And I also know that people who have been in it over the past few years, like feel how many more people are in the game and have felt the marketplace shift. And so for somebody who's coming in from the beginning, like I think that the most important thing that you can be doing from a foundational perspective and also like a monetization perspective is showing up and sharing about not just your work, but like your brand and who you are in a way that is as like unique and differentiated and like aligned with who you are as possible. Because like how you cut with the noise and shine and activate people in your audience, however small, isn't through fancy things like having a website or having a cool logo or XYZ or the volume of social media content you put out or like reels versus carousels. None of that shit matters. None of that shit matters. You can build a 7-figure business using any number of tools. But people need to very much understand who you are, connect and have shared emotional territory with your value system, resonate with your story, and see why this offer that you offer is unique and differentiated and thus is right for them. So I would say like your time, your energy, your funds, especially at the beginning, would be best served honing that skill set and achieving mastery there and being consistent.
And you know what we didn't even do? Our bad as interviewers. Can you tell us what type of coach you are and introduce to everyone listening? I think they've kind of picked up on your expertise, but like, let's put it out officially because I think exactly what you're speaking to speaks to your expertise.
No, this is a Blues Clues episode where you have to piece together throughout, and then we unveil it in our I don't know. Keep going. Go ahead.
Sorry, Lexi, I can't share that with you. It's a secret. You're just like, it's
a secret coach.
Fun game. I've been dropping it's an Easter egg. I've been dropping clues.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, I'm Carolyn Stine. I'm a messaging and storytelling coach for female business owners and entrepreneurs, and I help you to create unique, memorable, and deeply impactful messaging that not only grows your business in a tangible way and converts clients so you are able to bring consistent soulmate clients, consistent revenue in the door, but feels so fully expressed and authentic for you to create. And I love what
I'm like, I don't even think we'll re-edit that. I think this was great. I think it was like this build up, right? And then it was like, everyone's like, wait, what is she? What is she? Boom.
Yes.
And
so messaging. Okay. Messaging expert, kind of building off of what Em said, one of the topics we want to get into today, which you're the perfect person to talk to about is, okay, so let's talk to now you've launched your business. You're starting to really play around with messaging. One thing that has come up a lot, I know, and I'm in the PR space too, so I see it from that lens, is this fear of saying the wrong thing. This fear of getting canceled, this fear of backlash. So can you walk us through how you navigate showing up authentically without, point blank, getting quote unquote canceled?
Or getting canceled. Or navigating cancel.
Yes, I love this question so much. And this has been something that is so alive within me that actually last quarter, I started a live content series on Instagram called Uncensored. And now there's an entire season that's up now. You can click to it. I have a series page for it on my Instagram profile. But this conversation is so relevant and so topical. And I think there's no business owner, or quite frankly, even people who work in corporate XYZ who haven't had this thought process, especially when you look at it in the context of becoming more and more visible and being more and more authentically and fully expressed in your messaging for your business, right? So this, I would say, is probably the number one fear that I hear from people, especially at the beginning, especially when you're in the space of being like, okay, I know I need to share my story and I know I need to let people in on who I am and what I believe, but I'm scared. And it's a very real fear. And it even if you think about it from a psychology and a neurology perspective as well, it is so fundamentally within our nature as humans to want to belong. It's a core need of people, right? And this is why so often we repress. This is a childhood wounding thing for many of us as well. But we so often repress and oppress our authenticity in favor of attachment, right? In favor of belonging, in favor of getting along with the group, right? So we have to also recognize, I think, in this process that we need to give each other grace and give ourselves grace, in all honesty, because we're almost in a way like going against evolutionary impulses here. So know that this is like a muscle that we have to work. And you are never going to, that's very hyperbolic, but like it's going to be very challenging for you to distinguish yourself and to build a really, really scalable, like not just brand, but like business, tribe, community of diehard fans if they don't have something really deep and real to connect with you on. So in all honesty, I would say, going off of what Em said about like, maybe you do get canceled. I think that what people are generally hungering for right now, like craving right now, and thus incredibly attracted to, is realness, is being uncensored, is being unapologetically yourself, and being unfiltered. And so we almost have to be like, you know what? Yeah, I might get canceled. Like, yeah, I might say something wrong, but because we're also living in such like a sanitized and like a culture that's like very much now not promoting open discourse and conversation, and is really honestly censoring, repressing, and oppressing that. Like, I think it's actually more important than ever to, in an authentic way, not in a way where we're like trying to like poke the bear, feeling like we have to be controversial in order to grow our business. Like, it needs to be authentic and it needs to be embodied so that you can hold yourself through that, right? Because it like is a frequency of truth. But I think that we need to almost be like, yeah, okay, I could get canceled. I could say something wrong. I could ask the wrong question. I could not ask I could not ask a question when I should. But if I'm showing up as my full self, if I'm fully expressed, and I am also doing it in service of people, like, that's actually going to be the thing that's going to grow and build a sustainable business for me and create something that lasts. And again, going back to like the core tenet of like, and no matter what happens, I got me.
Hey everyone, Lex here.
And Em.
And if you haven't heard, we did something pretty darn cool.
We sure did. We launched a completely free community built specifically for coaches.
Say it again for the people in the back.
We launched a free community for coaches. Tell them quickly who it's for and what we're doing inside, Lex.
Sure thing. So it's for anyone from the coaching curious to side hustlers to coaches ready to scale. And through the virtual platform that we've built, we've created a safe and fun space to learn, launch, grow, connect, ideate, collaborate, vent, and evolve together.
Nailed it, Lex. Now, while it's free, you must apply in order to gain a free membership. You know, so we can make sure everyone inside is awesome, like us.
Apply today at readysetcoachcommunity.com.
I'm going to pause there because I thought it was a riff.
No, so it's very much like what I'm hearing from it is like a lot of self-love and a lot of self-knowing, and also like F the other people if they feel strongly in this direction, like they're not my people. If they feel strongly in this direction, like they are my people. And it's a quality over quantity type of situation to me. And what I'm hearing from you, it's like by you speaking your truth, it's not making you a fan base necessarily. It's making you a dedicated fan base of the people who are the right clients.
Yeah. And this goes, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say this goes for every area of your life. It's about authentic relationship building, and we cannot build authentic relationships and connections with other humans if we're not being fully ourselves, right? Like, you're not going to meet your soulmate that way. You're not going to meet your soulmate tribe of friends that way. You're not going to meet your soulmate tribe of clients that way either. And yes, you showing up fully expressed and saying the damn things you want to say. Yeah, some people might hate you for that. But in that fullness of your expression, that's when the right people for you are going to fall in love with you. And that is what you are looking for if you are looking to actually build something where people are not, it's not only about conversion and them consistently coming in the door, but that's when you actually build not just the clients, but like a community, a tribe of diehard fans who will literally buy anything you sell, sharing your work, are evangelists for you and your work. And are like deeply connected to and committed to what you stand for.
So let's speak to the coach who maybe, I'm going to use the word controversy or strong emotion or strong opinions isn't maybe innately a part of their DNA. And like truly they don't have, like they do care about something strongly, but when it comes to their respective field, they don't have opinions that always rock the boat. Do they need to come up with ways to like come up, talk to me about how, if we're not innately like controversial, how can we still differentiate ourselves and feel authentic without feeling the pressure to like share more than is authentic for us to share?
100%. So again, it's about being fully yourself, not about a should or a should not. Like the vibe isn't should or should not. It's like want or not want. It's like do or do not. You know what I mean? So you have to approach everything in a way that it is fully and truly you. But I think also the invitation is then to take a look at like, where do you need to peel away, strip away what's not you, so you can be super, super clear on your core truths, your core values. And maybe that's like playing in, like, I talk about like the medical system in my, like on my Instagram and in my emails and like all kinds of other things all of the time, because it super aligns for me. And it like resonates so deeply with like my core people in my community. And it pisses a lot of people off too. But I'm like, okay, we're doing our job here. Yes. But like, that doesn't always mean that you need to insert yourself in larger cultural conversations that aren't necessarily like relevant to you, like that you don't feel strongly about, just to again, like pull that lever in your business. You have to really come back to a place of like core truth, core embodiment. Like, what do I really believe? Like a business owner has to really be like, what do I really believe? And what does this brand stand for? And like, that's what you're really starting to speak to. And then that's something you just get to like play with and dial up in a way that feels good for you. So it's not like, okay, I have to like talk about politics or not talk about politics, or like this conversation is trending, so I need to insert myself in order to be relevant in my business. That's just like persona and facade all over again. That's like the frequency of not truth. And like, people aren't going to inherently resonate that, I think, with that, I think on the level that you want to. So again, it comes back to like personal discernment and being like, what am I here to say? What is my brand here to say? And being like, that's what I'm going to follow.
Do you have any advice for people who to Lexi's point, they're like, I don't even know what to talk about. I know what my values are, but you do a really good job of digging deep into the vault of stories and sharing stories. Do you have any tips for people to dig deeper and to find and kind of harvest those stories from the past and utilize them for the future?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, especially at this moment in time in the industry, the coaching industry in particular, as it is, like there are more and more people entering this world. Brand storytelling is more important than ever. That's like the ultimate differentiator, because your lived experience belongs to only you. So this is something I work really, really closely with my clients on. And it's a little bit different for everyone because everybody has different experiences. But I would say like some like overall, more general things is, number one, that you are like, there's no person who's not sitting on a gold mine. And a lot of people are often like, I don't know what to talk about. I have nothing to talk about. And I'm like, so often we think we need to have these big, like the dark night of the soul moments, and like the moments where everything changed are like this really hard time. And so they're like, well, I only have one or two of those. And I've told those stories. So like, what the fuck else do I talk about? And I think this is where we need to come back to and really start to mine like the tiny, tiny, mundane, ordinary moments of our day-to-day lives where like the things that we stand for are playing out, where like we were in a place in the past, in probably a million places. You have a million of these stories where your ideal clients are now. Like the tiny moments of your life where you are like embodied and living your message that you can share. So I think it's just also like a reframe for everybody that like you're sitting on more stories, more messages, more content than you could possibly share in your lifetime, even if you posted consistently and had like a robot doing it for you. You just have to remember that it's all already there, and the small moments can be just as poignant as like the larger, bigger stories.
Okay, so Kaylee, please edit that out. Okay, so let's say someone is brave enough to finally share a story or share something. And, as much as they've tried to do the self-work, the comments start pouring in, or they don't. That can also be triggering, right? How do you start to navigate the reaction if it's not what you expect, or if it's volatile, or if it's negative in any way? Any just general tips or mindset reframes on how to navigate the reaction?
I think that something that's a great filter, and again, like it is all about your discernment as like the leader of your business and somebody who's sharing anything in any context in a relationship in your life always, But I think that's something that's really important prior to sharing, especially if it's personal, especially if it's like an element of your story, something you believe in, XYZ, is like you have to really get right with yourself and be really honest with yourself beforehand and be like, am I sharing this from a clean place? Where like, no matter what the reaction is, I'm good. Whereas like on the flip side, something that I see a lot of the time is like people might be sharing something like really reactively when it's still really fresh for them. And they're like, this is where I see people kind of using like social media, like their diary, you know what I mean? Where like, you're almost looking for validation. You're like, I'm feeling this. I want to get some like love in the comments. Actually, I'm like, that's not clean. That's not a clean energy. It's like being in a conversation with like a partner or someone you care about. And instead of being like, I just need to feel fully expressed in this need and desire, regardless of what their response is, you're like, but this needs to be the answer for me to be okay. Like, do you feel the difference in that? So I think that we have to be like super clean with what we're sharing first and foremost, and be like, okay, if I get positive responses, if I get zero response, if I get negative responses, like I'm good, I've got me. So like that has to feel good. And then from there, I think we have to just remember as business owners, like, you're so much bigger than one post, just like you're so much bigger than one offer, just like you're so much bigger than one launch. And like having a successful business, and it is in no way contingent on like any one of these micro moments. Like, you're in it for the long game, you're here for the long haul. And I think that like anchoring into that is really important. While also remembering, especially if you're getting like negative feedback, like, you've got you. It generally, when you get negative feedback, has nothing to do with you. Just like in IRL, it's a them thing, not a you thing generally. And they're projecting something on you, and like you just happen to be the target, especially like, you know, a stranger or whatever it is on the internet. So again, I think that really comes back to that, like cultivating the, not to get too much into like masculine and feminine polarity and dynamics, but like cultivating your inner masculine so that you feel so safe and rooted to withstand whatever comes your way.
Yeah, I so agree with that. A lot of times those triggers are typically something that are not going on in your life. It's something that's going on in their lives. Maybe they're feeling less than, or they're not feeling brave enough. And so they're like, well, screw this girl for being brave and saying the thing that she wants to. I want to say this thing, but I can't. So I'm going to go wild in the comments. And this is a safe place for me to hide behind an internet name and have fun there. So I so appreciate, I appreciate your boldness. I appreciate the idea of being clean with it and knowing like when you throw it out there in the world, like you have to be at peace with it versus the validation, because I have definitely seen those diary entries where they're like, I'm at rock bottom, help. And you're like, this is not the place. This is great. But I feel like we need to email some friends right now for help instead. But Carolyn, I want to know, can you share with our listeners the best way to find out more information about you and continue their connection with Miss Carolyn Stine?
Oh my gosh, yes. Instagram is probably the place that I am most like alive in my business, at least right now. And my Instagram handle is at Carolyn B. Stine. There's such a treasure trove there, both like on my feed, there are tons of trainings. I have like multiple freebies if you go to the link in my bio, you can do the Free to Express challenge, which is a 4-day free social media challenge. You can plug into Provocateur, which is a free 4-day energetic and messaging training. And also just like send me a DM, reach out. Like, I love meeting new people and connecting to people, and whether like we're working together or not is completely irrelevant. I would love to say hi and also hear if there was anything that was a particularly juicy takeaway from this conversation.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, we're so grateful to have you here. Thank you for being our debut guest on season 2 of the
Ready, Set, Coach podcast. We're still doing the thing, guys.
It's a symphony. That was beautiful.
Thank you. You can see us in concert next month. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
Bye.
If you're enjoying the Ready, Set, Coach podcast, please leave a review wherever you are listening. For more information about Ready, Set, Coach, visit ReadySetCoachProgram.com.